Hello and welcome to Let's Play Rimworld with me, Entropy. I just picked this game up after watching about a half an hour of Let's Plays on it. It looks like a super cool game. It's a simulation game where you crash land on a planet and set up a colony and try to survive. And it's pretty deep. The whole simulation is really complex. There's a health system to all your colonists that's individual to all their body parts. So, if they get shot in the arm, you have to repair that arm specifically, and they'll be worse at skills that use their arms, and and that's just one example of the depth of this simulation. So it looks really cool. It kind of reminds me of a more in-depth prison architect based on the art style and just the way you do things, or a simplified dwarf fortress. I've never gotten into dwarf fortress because it's so daunting. So this is kind of the midway point, I think, if you want a cool simulation game that's not going to suck up your whole life. All that I've done so far is generate a world, so let's start a new colony. This is the difficulty screen. There's three different, basically dungeon masters that, depending on who you choose, will change how the simulation plays out. This most basic one is pretty straightforward. Just as the game goes on, the challenge level will increase, so I'm just going to start it on regular challenge. It's probably a little harder than I'm going to be able to handle, so I'll fail miserably before we know it, but hopefully it'll keep things interesting. So here's my world that I generated. Each of these different colored areas are different biomes. Not all the biomes are available yet. This is an alpha game, it's still in production, but compared to a lot of other alpha games, it's way further along. And even compared to some released simulation games, it surpasses them by a lot. So these lighter green areas are temperate forest. So let's start there. Just kind of basic. I want to find one that's not mountains, but also not flat. Small hills sounds good. There's a lot more depth to this whole bit too. This shows the rainfall, and this shows the temperature of the biomes. So there's a lot more complexity here, but I'm not going to mess around with that too much. I'm just going to kind of jump in right there where I clicked. Starting your colony, you get 3 colonists, all with different skills that grow over time. The most important thing, in my opinion, is having a good doctor, because like I said, with the health system in this game, keeping people alive is not easy. So this actually looks like these little burning symbols mean that they progress in that skill faster. So even though it's only even though this guy's only a level 6 in medicine, he'll improve really quickly, and having a decent researcher eventually will become important as well. So that should be good for our doctor. Then beyond that, we'll need somebody that's good. Whoa, this guy's really good at mining. Mining's super important, as well as construction, and starting with a good construction / miner is, I think, probably going to be very useful. There's also all these other little traits that help out with little bits. I mean, every little aspect of this game comes into play in all the aspects of the game. It's really cool how all the little bits interact with each other. So having this bloodlust trait might not seem like much, but as the game goes on, you'll see that it actually makes a huge difference on how this guy plays out compared to anybody else. Thirdly, we're going to need somebody that's good at fighting, because we're going to be doing a lot of that. So shooting and melee are the fighting abilities. And just so we don't fail right off the bat, I'm going to get someone that's actually pretty good. So this seems good enough for me. And yeah, we're going to go with that. I'm going to cut the video here while I generate the world. It doesn't seem to like fraps and keeps cutting out when I try to do that part, so I'll be right back once the world is generated. Alright, so here we are in our map. Just finished generating, and it starts off with this dialogue saying that we crash landed our ship and we're on an unknown Rimworld. So let's kind of, I'm going to pause it real quick while we check out where we're at. These bits are stone and metal, which are pretty important. I think you can also claim these buildings that are already around as your own. So I think we'll start our colony kind of in this area, and we'll box off this whole bit with walls for protection. And we'll see how that works. So keep it going here. Everybody just crash landed, and you know, I'm just gonna pause it again while we do this. So it's a lot like I was saying, Prison Architect, where you kind of set up zones for that they just automatically will work with the zone the way it's intended. So we'll create a stockpile down here for all of our goods, and then a dumping pile next to it for all of our crap that we don't need. And then food is also obviously pretty important, so I'm going to create a pretty big crop kind of right in the middle of the compound. And just to give you an idea of what I'm thinking it should look like, where is here's plans. So ultimately I want to start a wall all around here. We're not going to mess around. We're going to have a pretty serious like huge base. So I'm not setting up buildings right now. This is just to give us an outline of ultimately where we're going to want to be. And yeah, that's what our compound's going to look like. Then while I'm in here, we will claim these as our own. Because why not? They're sitting there, might as well take them. And then usually there's berry bushes around, but I don't really see any. Oh, these are berry bushes, but they just haven't grown any yet. So we'll start chopping some wood. It only selects the trees that are already fully grown when you do this. So we'll chop those down, and that should be a good start. For whatever reason, when you start off a map, these little X's mean that they're not allowed, that your colonists aren't allowed to mess with this stuff. I don't understand why. I mean, you want all this stuff, so I don't know why it doesn't just let you get it. So let's find our, this is our warrior dude. I'm gonna have him equip this pistol because he knows how to use it. This chick Veer, or whatever we're gonna call her, is a lot better shooting than that dude, so have her equip that. Oh, well, I take that back. We have a rifle over here that I'm gonna have this guy equip. And then Addy can equip the other pistol once he drops that. Oh, did he take both of them? Oh, no, there it is. So, before I forget, I'm gonna have her equip this. And while we're just starting, this is like the hierarchy of tasks that they have. As you can see up here, it says higher and lower priorities. So the further left it is, the more they'll prioritize that over doing other things. And it kind of automatically tells these guys what to do based on what skills they have. But you can add things for them to do if you need it done more. So our doctor is obviously doctoring. And I think we're just going to leave everything else until we need to change those. And to start off, we need to set up a room for their beds. And I'm going to make that this room down here. So we need, I think it's kind of annoying, but all this stuff starts out as metal stuff, but if you click on it, it'll let you make it out of wood instead. I don't know why it all starts as metal, because metal is a lot harder to acquire than wood at the beginning. And I'm going to unforbid all these so they can start harvesting those, because they're just sitting there. What is this thing? Slag chunk. I don't know what that does. And now we got to get some beds in here. Again, wooden beds to start off. And that thing is a perfect size for 3 beds, which is nice. As well as the really complex health system in the game, there's a psychological system that's really similar, where the whole environment that they're in changes their mood and how they feel. So if they're in the dark all the time mining, they'll quickly become unhappy and eventually lose their minds. So you gotta keep your colonists happy in a lot of different ways. They need to, get enough sleep, enough food, be in a good area. If they're fighting constantly, they'll be upset. Just every little aspect of the colonists' lives plays into their psyche, which is really interesting, and really makes you try to keep them happy instead of just being efficient with how you're running your base. So because we have such a big perimeter, I'm going to start right off with walling this in, because it's going to take a while, I think, or I know. Put this right over our plans. We'll probably still be able to finish this before any enemies show up, but better safe than sorry. We'll throw a door in here, and I was kind of hoping it would remove those plan layouts, but it didn't, so I'll just do that myself, because that is annoying. So yeah, I think that's all we really need for the basics. Having beds, getting your food set up, and having storage are kind of the most important things to get yourself going. Beyond that, we're going to start building a solar generator for power, and that will need batteries as well. So once you get your power set up, you're going to need a power grid to actually supply power to everything that needs it. Oh, and here's some extra survival meals. I'm already regretting putting the stockpile here. It should be more centralized, but I don't think it's too far away to cause problems. And we need a lot more wood than we've got. So I'm going to see if we can make somebody else cut wood. I guess that goes under plant cutting. Make everybody do that just to clear this stuff out. And while they're sleeping, we'll speed up the simulation. Wow, 57. So I was wondering that everybody has an age, and apparently they do age over time. 57 sounds pretty old, but I don't really know how old they'll live till, so we'll see. This person's 21 though, Addie is 21, 57, and 49. So we have some older colonists, and hopefully we can get some new ones before they start dying off. And I know the start of this game is slow, just like other simulations. There's not a whole lot going on until you, start getting enemies and some more colonists and whatnot. Another important thing is going to be this nutrient paste. Obviously, whatchamacallit, the harvesting food is one of our biggest priorities right now, just so we don't have to worry about that. So this thing will create food. I don't really understand how it works, to be honest. These things are called hoppers, and they put food in the hoppers, and I believe the nutrient paste comes out of the hoppers. I guess it's just a more efficient use of the food. So I think it's pretty important. I don't know if it's too early to build one or not, but we're getting one right now just to be safe. And that needs to be supplied with power. And we don't have enough metal to make it, but that's okay. I'm gonna this is the power grid, and we'll start harvesting some metal to get that going. You know, I actually don't want to build walls here because I'm gonna need to harvest that metal. So we'll change that. Change these walls to go like this. And start mining that bit there. Let's see what these say. Cave tender. Named white crab. So all sorts of things happen in this game, just random events that you really can't expect. Like, you never know what's going to happen. Comms console. I'd like to start that. Once you have comms, you can start setting up trades. But we need to get our metal supply up before we bother with that. And I'm going to add some doors down here. Why isn't wood showing up there? There it is. Alright, let's see. So the survival rations are the only thing we have for food. This crop is taking a little bit longer to get going than I expected. Defenses, that's a good point. I'm going to pause it real quick. On the right side here, it tells you what things need, what your colony needs the most. So obviously defenses are important, and they should be sending pirates or tribes or what have you to attack us pretty soon. So I'm going to do that. And it says this building needs power, which we're working on. We need metal for it. And these need construction materials, which is that metal, so that's the same problem. But let's find these defense security. These things have a huge range, holy crap. Let's just keep them. Along with the complex health system, there's a really complex combat system as well. Everything that's fighting needs to have line of sight, and depending on the lighting conditions and what cover they have and everything, their aim chances and defense will change. So even though it looks like a pretty basic top-down simulation, the mechanics of the combat have a lot more going on than you can really see immediately. A wild boar has gone mad. That's not good. Where is he? Just to kind of give you an idea of how the combat works, we'll watch this battle at regular speed. But see, like, this boar has just a scratch on his right leg, so apparently that made him go crazy. And now he's gonna come mess with us. Oh. Why isn't she attacking? I think you have to... I think if people aren't drafted, they won't attack automatically. She needs to get out of there. Alright, so I guess this draft button, if they're not drafted, they won't attack, which I didn't know. So let's see what kind of damage she took in that. She's all scratched up. Alright, so we gotta make medical beds, which are the same as regular beds, but we're gonna set up a whole medical wing over here because, again, that's gonna be really important. Who was our doctor anyways? I hope it wasn't her. It was. Right? It was her. Great. It's telling me to set up a home region, which is actually a good idea. So this whole area is what we'll call the home region. Anywhere in the home region, they'll extinguish fires and clean up messes and all that jazz. So if we don't treat her wounds soon, they'll get infected. As soon as these medical beds get set up, we're going to send her to them, and I think because she's the doctor, she'll bandage herself up. But I might be wrong about that. Luckily she didn't. She's all scratched up, but she's not. Oh, she does have blood loss. But luckily none of these important to living bits were damaged, so we'll skip through the night and in the morning get her all fixed up. And they're prioritizing building a stupid wall, which is almost done, so I guess that's okay. I'll just let them finish that. Oh, and here comes a lightning storm. And that's going to start fires, which is not good. I don't think that'll be able to reach the colony, but I could be completely wrong. Because there's no rain to put it out, and this is all grass. In fact, I think that's really bad. Well, we'll see what happens with it. We might be okay. And we are not calling our colony Rimton. Oh man, I hadn't anticipated needing to name this thing. Not so good with names. Fine, we'll call it Rimton. I'm not even gonna argue with them. If that's what you want to call it, that's what we'll call it. Alright, so now that these things are built, we can set them as medical beds. And we'll slow it down real quick. Oh, maybe this rain will put out the fires. Looks like it is. Yeah, that's pretty lucky. Oh, and she's going to heal herself on her own, which is good. So, in these injuries, it should show that she patches them up, I think. Can we clean this guy up? Oh, and you can prioritize things by right-clicking on them. That I do not know. Nobody seems to want to mine. We're gonna need metal, but I suppose it's not the most... Oh, crap. So everybody prioritizes putting out fires over anything else. Oh, the batteries short circuit in the rain. Okay. Can I put... will you put out that fire, please? So I think I need to put a ceiling over these. Okay, this is not good. I didn't realize that battery short circuit in the rain. I guess we need to... I'm just going to deconstruct these until I can build a little battery shelter. Not really sure how this is. Like I said, I'm just learning this game, so this is a learning experience for me. But I think by putting just a half a building here, that we'll get a roof over it. Like you see how this building is all dark. That's because there's a roof, and I think. Well, I don't really know how to check if there's roofs or not. I think if I put doors on here that there will be a roof over this as well, which would probably help. I don't know why it says wooden door, but it's not letting me choose the wooden door. I'm probably out of wood. Well, I think we're coming about on to half an hour now, so I'm going to pause it, and I think we're going to call this episode 1. I know we kind of got a few things in the middle of going on right now, but we'll pick up right where we left off here on episode 2. I think this is a good start for the colony. We got our border set up, and basic food stuff going on. Obviously, we've got Veer all incapacitated, but could have gone worse. Could have gone a lot worse, I think. So, yeah, this is a good start. We'll pick it up in episode 2, and I can't wait to be putting out these Let's Plays. This is my first series, but I'm going to have a lot more content coming out, so please keep an eye on the channel. Any subscriptions or follows that I get, I really appreciate. And, any comments that you have that I can use to improve this series and other series are greatly appreciated. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you soon.